welcome to the Cult of Brighter Days, which isn't a cult, except it absolutely is, except it's definitely not. We're a cult that's not a cult about a joke that isn't a joke. Either already a member or desperately need to be one. For those who've accidentally stumbled in here wondering what this is all about, nope, we don't have Kool-Aid. Honestly, we couldn't afford it. We don't even have Flavor Aid, which we actually could afford, but seriously, stuff tastes like crap. It's like they want to punish people who are on a really strict budget. Um, we do have anxiety, coffee. Alice has virtual smokes because it doesn't impact us and it calms her down. And sometimes, maybe even surprisingly, we have effective coping mechanisms. We also have the five tenets, which are basically be kind. If you can't be kind, be nice. If you can't be nice, be funny without punching down. If you can't be funny or you don't understand what punching down is, then shut up. And if you can't shut up, go away. The fact that society has reached a point where be kind needs to be an explicit instruction says more about our current apocalypse than we really have time to unpack here today, or I have patience to. The book that's coming out in June will explain it all to you. So, in my 55 years on this planet, I've watched the world end repeatedly. The Cold War nearly killed us all off, and I got to experience the joys of living next to the number two target on the Russian list. Seriously, I could look out the window of my house and I could see the runway across the fields. Got to experience the joy of Cold War terror as well as puberty at exactly the same time. And also in a deep red state. Wonderful time. The dot-com bubble popped, and the stock options I had gotten from work to accentuate the lacking income they gave me ended up with me paying the company more if I actually used them. 2008 happened, and we all decided to blame poor people for wanting homes instead of bankers for creating mortgage-backed securities. On top of that, deciding I didn't need a home that they were screwing me over for on the mortgage simply because I had medical bills. Then there was 2020 with, guess what? Everything. And now we're here in 2025, where the apocalypse has become so routine that we schedule it between brunch and therapy, and oftentimes I've had to schedule both at the same time. So today we're discussing survival topics for the current apocalypse. And before you ask which one, well, yeah, exactly. It's the Chinese menu approach to apocalypse. Pick however many you want and load up on however much you can possibly stomach at the time. Late stage capitalism, Project 2025 implementation, or whatever fresh hell dropped on Twitter. I mean, X, sorry about dead naming there, you freaking snowflake, Elon, while I was writing this. So let's be clear about what we're facing. We're facing a system where corporations have more rights than people, where billionaires can build rockets and new FEMA regulations mean the government won't have to help you when parts from that rocket fall on top of your home. And of course, their workers can't afford insulin. And where the American dream now means hoping someday afford a studio apartment where the bathroom isn't also the kitchen or hitting it early, thus lucky on the latest crypto scheme. It's a world that takes place where the events in The Godfather look way more compassionate and caring than anything the government is doing to us. Project 2025 is essentially the plan to make Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale look like an optimistic utopia. It's a detailed roadmap for dismantling agencies to protect people, installing loyalists in positions of power, and generally recreating America as a corporate theocracy where your rights depend entirely on your bank account and adherence to a very specific interpretation of specific religious text. Interpretations that those in power and those determining the rules don't have to follow that everyone else does, and if they don't, they need to be severely punished. But here's the thing, apocalypses aren't new. They're just better marketed now, more widely distributed, and the instant communication, well, that's just putting the icing on the cake or the nails in the coffin, depending on how you look at it. The world has always been ending for someone somewhere. And the privilege people had was not having to notice. So we're talking about strategies. As someone who survived the Cold War, multiple recessions, and what feels like 17 different once-in-a-lifetime economic collapses, not to mention all the personal development incidents along the way, I've developed a certain expertise in apocalypse management. Not always effective, and even though I do have that, I don't necessarily follow it all the time. So give it that. But first, recognizing that your panic is boring, not to invalidate feelings, but the world doesn't care if you're spiraling. Hell, the universe doesn't even know you exist. And it constantly blows my mind that people think that there is someone up there that really have any real care about what goes on in your bedroom or your life when entire galactic civilizations are being wiped out right now, probably over them. The apocalypse doesn't pause for your anxiety attack, so you might as well find some way to function despite the chaos. Yeah, we're not holding your hand saying that eventually everything will be okay because honestly, not it's not going to ever be okay. This isn't toxic positivity. It's pragmatic persistence because it might never be okay. But hey, at least we can get a vacation time on the beach, maybe a little timeshare on the beach before dealing with the dumpster fire that is our existence. Second, spite is an underrated motivational tool. When systems want you broken and compliant, simply continuing to exist with joy and purpose becomes revolutionary. I've stayed alive some days solely because I refuse to give certain people the satisfaction of my desire to lie down and be unalive. Third, and this is crucial, finding your people is critical. Isolation is how they get you. When the world is burning, you need someone to hold the extinguisher while you catch your breath, and vice versa. The community you build isn't just nice to have, it's a survival infrastructure. And if you don't like people, welcome to the club. I kind of despise them all. But acknowledge that you won't make it in the real mental, social, or spiritual way on your own is really, really important. Sure, the Tates have a lot of money and fans, but if they actually had to stare into the void and realize that the void doesn't even acknowledge their existence, either way, they're really shallow people are really stupid to not realize the value is worth nothing to existence. Of course, not having any moral standards or ethics can make this a lot more easier to sleep better at night. But really, what would your grandma say if she could see you? The joke about learning to laugh at the void isn't actually a joke. It's survival. When systems designed when systems designed to protect people become systems that extract from them, when the social contract becomes more of a social terms and conditions that we didn't read, finding community becomes not just nice, but necessary. That's what we're really talking about here today. Not just surviving, but about finding reasons to want to survive, finding people worth surviving for, or better yet, surviving with. This is where our little cult that's not a cult comes in. We're building something different here, a space where kindness isn't weakness, where failure is mandatory and celebrated as a learning experience, where we acknowledge the darkness without drowning in it, where we relish the chaos without giving it free rein to overwhelm and burn us up. You can sign up to join our Definitely Not a Cult, or you can just stop in here and listen to us talk and rattle on. If you do sign up to join up, you can get your own email address, which isn't being mined for data. You can get access to our Discord, where we actually moderate for kindness. And you can get entry into our WordPress site that will eventually soon have social features. So you can at least talk about stuff without, on a social network and not listen to people rattle on about, all the stuff that you really. I went on Facebook just recently and man, I was just aghast at how much misinformation is out there and just general hatred. Um, think of us as your digital bunker where you can, bunker against the apocalypse, except with fewer beans and more memes. And coming soon, we're going to have our own virtual compound where we can build our encampment against the outside world. I mean, of course, it's in video games because the guys haven't given me enough money to have my own island. $650,000. And if you buy it now, you can get on the timeshare aspect of it. But here's the thing. There's a secret they don't want you to know. Communal joy is resistance. Finding moments of laughter in the collapse is rebellion. Creating art when they want you paralyzed by fear is revolution. That's why we're here. Not just to survive this particular apocalypse, but to build something worth surviving this particular apocalypse and all the ones that are eventually going to come, because it's going to happen, to build something worth surviving for. It's an active form of passive resistance. where we, as a collective whole, won't march down your street, largely because we have jobs and bills to pay, and our kids are such a pain, and we can't find somebody to watch them. And dragging them along is just going to annoy everybody else around us. Not because we don't want to march down your street, but we're not going to let you get away with hurting us or those of us who stand together. And if we need to, we do have spikes. So today we have Bishop Sarah and Pope Richard joining us to share their wisdom on surviving these interesting times, with Dr. T managing our chat. Bishop Sarah brings her unique perspective as both a theological thinker and behavior analyst, while Pope Richard offers insight from historical knowledge and practical IT experience, because everything centers around technology. As always, we'll have about 45 minutes of some sort of structured conversation. I use that as a loose term, structured, before descending into our usual beautiful chaos for the final hour. So remember, the world may be ending, but that doesn't mean that we can't have a good time while it happens. After all, in the eternal words of someone who may or may have not been me after too much caffeine, when faced with both absurdity and despair, choose absurdity. It has better memes. And that wasn't me that wrote that. Who wrote that? I hate freaking memes. So let's get started.
We've all been there, staring into the void of responsibility and choosing to simply shrug. A dashboard glowing like a radioactive Christmas tree? It is what it is. A laundry pile so large it's applied for statehood? It is what it is. A 3-day-old text you could respond to, but also couldn't. It is what it is, because deep down we all know it is what it is the closest thing to pressing Control-Alt-Delete on reality. A universal cheat code for avoiding confrontation, sidestepping effort, and gracefully accepting that sometimes life is just aggressively dumb. But Abiscordianism teaches us a deeper truth. Structured chaos is power. The world is absurd. Rules are suggestions at best. So why not laugh? Why not embrace it? If we're all tumbling toward the void, might as well go down. Moonwalking. And when the moment truly matters, when we must act, must choose, we do, because we decide what deserves our energy, not guilt, not obligation, us. So yes, my friends, it is what it is, but what will you make of it? For more existential loopholes and spiritual nonsense, visit thecultofbrighterdays.com.
God. That's great. That's great. He's on the phone while we do it, and the picture's all screwed up because amazingly, we didn't test this part of it out before we did this. Let's get everybody on the screen. Okay, now we have everybody on the screen. And somebody say something, because I can do an audio check on your side. Other than
so Michael, this is still working better than the what do they call those White House briefings?
Well, I don't know. It's
the just, official name or
something like that. So, hi everybody, including the cat.
This is Zorro. Say hello, Zorro.
Richard's back. He's off the phone.
I'm back.
Okay. So, all right, we have Bishop Sarah, Pope Richard, and we have Rob. You have a new title. We finally got you a title. What was that title?
Oh,
it's way too long to put on the screen. I know that.
Yes, that was the intent.
Good.
Hold on, let me.
That's okay. You can look it up and bring it up later. So, so as opposed to last week when we were talking about stuff and it descended into a complete what did Dr. T say? Political meltdown, something like that. We're supposed to talk. Dr. Jess said that we're supposed to talk about something a little bit more. I wouldn't say positive, but more productive. I think that's what she was. So we're supposed to talk about strategies, right?
Coping mechanisms.
Coping mechanisms. That's what they call them.
Yes.
I call them survival techniques, that type of thing.
Yeah, so, not just hoarding food and toilet paper, but like actual survival technique.
Well, okay, yeah, Robert, envoy of the
Envoy of the
Four Winds,
Four
human
Winds.
apostate, protector of the Southwest Territories, second mountain to the right. Yes.
Welcomer of Dawn.
Oh yeah,
Those
I
those
guess
go.
it was cut off in the chat. Welcomer of Dawn. There you go.
See, that's
You've
why
got
I
to
go with
include
Step
that.
Pope.
Okay. So I don't know. Let's start out. Let's go ahead and go with our religious person here from a religious perspective so we can avoid the historical political
Why don't
aspects
we
in the group.
like? Why do I have to go first? Why can't we dive into the historical and political
Because I
first?
have a feeling if we go to either one of the other two, it's going to descend right into what it did last week. And so I want to try to keep us on topic, moving towards something that's like a little bit more productive. And everything.
You're not wrong.
I'm not wrong, yeah. So
So okay. Well, I'm gonna go with that whole great. I didn't know I was going first.
well, maybe since nobody ever watches this ever, so maybe you should introduce yourself in case somebody picks it up and watches it at a later time. They actually know who you are. We don't have a video for you yet.
Right, we don't have the intro to Sarah or Meet Sarah video yet, unlike our
Right,
Meet
yeah.
Alice and Meet George videos. But I
We
am.
don't even have George. We just have one because I'm so behind.
Well, we will get a George one, and then we'll get a Pixel, and then we'll start working on the actual human
The
beings
actual
that are
real
part of
people?
this cult.
Yeah.
About our lovely founding and stuff. So you are calling me a religious expert, but I actually do have a master's of divinity from an accredited seminary.
Does that mean you're not a religious expert because you have that?
It doesn't. It means I have more questions than I have answers, but I've learned how to ask better questions. That's my
Asking good questions
official
is good.
tact. Yeah.
Hi.
But yeah, no, I've had to take a whole lot of theology and a whole lot of history and a whole lot of psychology and Greek and Hebrew and very useful things when you actually work out in the middle of nowhere, Arizona, and none of those things are actually going to come up. So I don't use
I don't
Greek
know.
and Hebrew in my everyday life.
There could have been like a Greek outpost here from the classic days when they came across the ocean. Well,
Yeah,
Anyway, conspiracy theory.
With their Antikythera device?
Not mine.
right.
I'll leave that to Robert down the road. Anyway, continue on, sir. Sorry.
So I am an ordained pastor in the Presbyterian Church USA, so like a real denomination. I serve an actual church, and then I do this cult for giggles. So yeah, rather than screaming into the void of chaos and everything, I choose laughter instead.
Well,
And
okay. So
my coping practical mechanisms are like meditation. It is, I need to remove myself from the chaos daily. So it's making that very conscious choice of like, I am not going to watch the news today. I'm not going to doom scroll on Facebook for 5 hours. And like hold myself accountable to that. Because once it starts, then it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe this happened. And all heck, it's like, nope, let's remove it. Let's turn it off. Let's go quiet for 5 minutes, give myself that little timer, and then we can connect back in.
Sarah, I haven't watched the news in 35 years.
It's very good. Because if you do, it's bad. It's fear. It's fear mongering. It's all
Absolutely.
breaking loose.
It's manipulation through fear.
It is. It is.
And,
You can't find hope in that.
And the news does it in order to boost ratings for their advertising. And the politicians love it because it matches their agenda.
Exactly. Because if we sold hope and if we sold promises of love and peace, that doesn't sell worth anything. It's not going to keep the viewers.
Well, we don't sell that here either.
No, we don't.
We're actually adamantly against that, to be technical.
We don't want toxic positivity just as much as we don't want anything else.
Wait, so you're saying there's a market?
There is a market for toxic positivity too. That's the problem.
That's how we get the island.
That's how we get the island.
No, we get the island if you like and subscribe and subscribe to our Patreon and pledge us a couple bucks a month for the rest of your life.
Well, you and 300,000 of your friends.
Right, exactly. That's how we're going to get our island. That's where we actually do become cult-like. Give us all your money so that we can get a private island.
Honestly, well, no, I figured this out. It works perfectly fine if we sell it as a timeshare. So we get the island.
So now we're going to do like these talks. Like you have to go to a talk, and then we'll give you free tickets to Disneyland if you sit with this talk for
No, you get a cot in the hut.
And then we're going to sell you on the timeshare.
Well, no. If you put into the cult, you get a certain amount of time on the island.
Well, where's the talk that we have to go to in order to buy the timeshare, though?
This is why we suck at doing
island.
this, because
that's what we were doing.
Yeah, you have to sit through the entire episode.
That's what you have to
endure the entire episode, the entire podcast. You have to survive through it all. I have to still figure out how to set these up as podcasts so that they're both podcasts and video, because I know you can do that. But if anybody out there wants to get hired on as a media expert to help out here, we're offering 2 free pizzas a month and everything. Okay, that's a little bit more than we can afford, but we'll try 2 free pizzas a month.
Maybe 1 free pizza every 2 months.
Yeah, I can't believe how, I always heard people say, it costs a lot of money to do this type of stuff. And I'm like, well, what does it cost? Because you have a webcam and a mic. No, it actually does. All these tools that we use.
Like most things, it's the software.
We have a comment that I actually think is good, but do we want to keep doing this first?
Well, what's the comment that's really good? Because does it fit into our topic?
It's how do you be positive in a toxic way?
Because everything's going to be okay. You just have to wait. When the election comes about next time, we'll vote somebody back into office that's going to fix all this stuff and reverse all this stuff.
Or worse yet, there's nothing wrong. Everything is fine.
No,
just
that's
good
not
vibes.
Right. It's a positive in a non-productive fashion. That's not actually going to change anything.
You're not allowed to say. Positive toxicity is not being allowed to say anything negative.
Yeah.
You can't bring up the truth.
It's just, honey, just smile more. Everything would be better if you just smiled more, honey.
Yeah. Or the one I thought of immediately was when you go to a doctor.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Like if
you just lost weight.
Yeah, if you just lost weight.
Oh, I was thinking how
all
doctors ignore, just are positively toxic about, well, there's nothing actually wrong with you. It's in your head.
Oh, no,
specifically the way, I mentioned that because Sarah was talking, and it's traditionally something that happens to women a lot more than men.
Oh, God.
That's like with Dr. T's videos, with Dr. T's whole story about the tumor that she had on her spine and how it was ignored. And she was told, this whole other line.
Dr. Jess walked around on a shattered ankle for like almost a semester because they kept telling her that it was just a weight problem.
My mother had lung cancer, and the doctor told her she was seeking pills.
Yeah. Jessica's got that. I mean, we have tons of story about Dr. Jess and chronic illness that we haven't even delved into, and the 8-9 year quest to actually find out what was wrong, which was a problem. But that's for another time. But what we're talking about here is mechanisms to fight off toxic positivity, because I mean, yes, that's a thing. It's both aspects. When we're talking coping skills, we're not talking about coping skills just to fight off about the negative, overwhelming thing. It's also coping skills to fight against the toxic positivity of those people that come up to you and say, everything's gonna be fine, you're just worrying too much. because that's just as dangerous, if not more dangerous, than the other side.
Yeah, definitely.
That's hiding the problem. That's
Yeah.
ostrich.
My main coping skill with that is to punch them in the face if they're near me. I don't think that's probably a very constructive coping
That's not a
skill. So
constructive coping mechanism.
I didn't say it was a constructive one. I said it wasn't, but I said that's my main coping mechanism for those people.
Yeah.
Followed up if I'm on a Zoom call or something with calling them a fucking idiot. That's the other one, and neither one of those are really constructive. So maybe you guys could help me out figuring out some of these more
See,
constructive ways of dealing with
I'm
this.
kind of stuck on option 2. Instead of screaming into the void, I like screaming into the face of someone that is
Zapping all the energy, like being that
harsh in my mellow.
Yeah.
Pushing my mellow. That's an interesting take on it.
Ruining the vibe.
Yeah.
No, ruining the vibe is sticking with toxic positivity. Harshing my mellow is messing with my life.
Yeah, okay. How can people? Everybody's messing with everybody else's life right now. That's part of the problem.
No, I try to interact with others. I don't try to screw with others. I'm not trying to take their bank account. Well, unless they want to buy the island. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to get something out of someone. I don't see them as a resource to be mined. And in today's society, that happens all too often.
Well,
So
I think
that's somebody harshing my mellow when they try to use me as a resource.
I think a lot of people don't realize they're actually doing that to people, though.
Yeah, that's because of
mean-
the way society trains them.
So are you a fan? Let's burn down society because that's just the best way to go about doing it. Or
No, I'm a fan of
I am.
Turning the sail a little bit and turning the wheel a little bit and trying to find a better course.
This is why I'm here, to make sure that type of attitude doesn't pervade this whole group. Because
So I like to
so how many
go on
Tesla
Facebook and
dealerships
ask
have
questions.
you burned down, Michael?
let's avoid it. Anyway, we're not going to talk about that. Richard, what were you saying? Feel free.
So I like to challenge people on social media. I'm not saying that's a healthy or constructive option either, but there's this politician who ran for senator in the primary last time around, and he lost big time, despite the fact that he was very specifically choosing positions to endear himself to the most conservative people around. Because it's Wyoming, that seemed like a reasonable strategy, and he lost.
Really?
Yeah, against a sitting senator. So that's not too strange, honestly. Despite the fact that he called the sitting senator a rhino at every opportunity, and vowed with every breath to support the guy who is currently our president. He still lost. But he's getting ready to run again because our other senator is going to be up next year. So he's been advertising on Facebook. And again, he's, blowing the trumpet, the Trump trumpet. So I went on and I said, excuse me, but this doesn't seem like greatness to me. The thing that we're making America in. Can you help me understand what's so great about what's going on right now? Because it looks like a dictatorship to me. And he came back and said, no, there's nothing to suggest dictatorship. So I just have been adding in every example I can think of that suggests dictatorship to me and asking them to help me understand why this isn't anything to be concerned about. And they don't have any answers. But
I
like,
the best,
yeah,
best they
find
can
it
do is say,
shocking.
nuh-uh.
I find it shocking from Wyoming after your Liz Cheney replacement got up there in the town hall a couple days ago and while giving brood said, I don't know why you guys are so concerned or even interested in federal stuff. Literally,
Yeah,
that's what she said.
there was a
Oh.
a post on Reddit about that, and I'm sure there's actually like 25 threads of it, but I replied to one of them and I said, yeah, it's not like they came here to talk about their washing machine. They came here because this was a government town hall. So, what do you expect them to talk about?
Yeah.
Gas stoves.
Yeah. Maybe what kind of tent to take camping.
Oh, that was subtle. Anyway. So Richard, is that a good coping mechanism for this?
It works for me because I get to spout off. And as a middle-aged straight white man, I get to do that for a while yet. I'll probably one of the last people that loses their First Amendment rights. But it gives me the opportunity to put out another perspective juxtaposed with everything is fine that Team Rasner is putting out. And it also gives them an opportunity to try to change my mind. They can't. They don't have anything.
That's because you're in the sound chamber.
But you're doing
You're
it.
not
You're
listening
doing
to them.
Yeah, you're doing it in a way that's not necessarily threatening.
Respond. They do not respond. Or when they do respond, their response is invariably, nuh-uh, or words to that effect. That's all they have. They don't have any way to say, well, wait a minute, here's why this is okay.
Yeah, it's that same thing of like,
they don't have a logical argument.
They don't have any.
They don't have an argument. Logical or otherwise. I don't think they have any argument.
Nothing. All they have is, we like this guy. Nothing he can do is possibly wrong. Nothing he does can possibly be wrong. And so therefore everything must be fine. And I'm just challenging them on that. And it probably won't have any effect on them. But it does have an effect on the other people who come into the comments and read what's going on. And I don't know if Facebook is doing a lot of filtering, but I'm seeing lots and lots of, dude, what's wrong with you comments along the same lines as mine. And they did respond for a little while to try to say, no, everything's fine. You still have your First Amendment rights, so you don't have anything to worry about. We welcome the discussion, but then they didn't discuss anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, they welcome the discussion if you can find the place they're going to discuss it, which is in the basement of the town hall that was abandoned 2 years ago when they built the new one, where there's no lights and everything's inside a small room that's actually the broom closet. If you show up there
and
the
it's
right
locked
time,
except for the hours of 1 o'clock to 1:15 on every other Saturday. The first,
and there's a
month.
feral leopard in there,
right?
And they are totally willing to discuss this with you. You are being highly unreasonable, Richard. Highly unreasonable.
You have to meet their gatekeeping. Come on,
radical left person.
They also not only did they say that we welcome the discussion, but they also were very explicit about saying we support the Constitution and your First Amendment rights, and everybody should have the opportunity to say the things. We practice what we preach, blah, blah, blah. But the same guy has an investment firm, and he advertised through his investment firm on Facebook. And I said, I don't think I want to put my money with somebody who can't see what's going on. And he blocked me.
Did you put that up on his did you put that up in this investment firm site on
I
Facebook, which is where you probably should have?
I responded to the advertisement
Yeah, yeah.
as it was people were commenting, "Oh, good job, Reed." Blah blah blah. I said, "I don't think I want my money to be handled by this guy," and they they blocked me there. So their willingness to support my First Amendment rights has limits.
Limited.
I will say that is not a good coping skill for me, which is why I was off Facebook for 4 years. And the only reason I'm back on Facebook now is to promote this cult that everybody's like looking at me going, "It's a cult? What the hell? I'm not going to go do your cult thing. You're crazy." I'm like, okay,
Those
if you
two
don't
things
get
are
the
not
joke,
related.
Try it.
I guess if you don't don't get the joke, I don't want you around. So that's the last thing we need is somebody coming in here thinking we're really a cult and everything.
Yeah,
that's just asking for damage, and I have no desire to do damage control on that one.
You know, Michael, it's kind of funny, you know, the cult that's not a cult. When I got my last job, I went and searched about the company online, and there were a number of people that were complaining about the management at the place acting like a cult. Because they're transparent, they have positive feedback. They talk about responsibility, and they're not toxic at all. but because they don't follow the corporate norms in this country, there's something wrong with this place. You know, they treat people with respect.
Yeah, God forbid that. I mean, like we said, like I said in my previous monologue, I said it's like really sad when they use the word "be nice" is like extremist agenda.
Oh, that's woke.
That's what I'm saying. It's like extreme, you know, it's like what we stand for here is almost radical leftist belief system, and just fucking be nice or shut up.
Well, what
we're not even saying be kind. We're not even saying be kind. We're not even saying.
Is it called the false dichotomy where it's either black or white? Is that the correct term?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because there's no more gray. If something isn't perfect, it's shit. If you don't love it, you hate it.
Well, I think it's all gray.
People don't have anything in between.
Yeah. I think it's all gray. It's just people look at the gray and say it's black or white. It's not that it's black or white. They just look at it and say, "Oh, that's black or white."
Yeah, people's perceptions and people's interpretations are entirely black or white, and it's gotten more and more prevalent over time.
Yeah, we're dealing with absolutes. So it's like it's black or it's white, and there is no gray.
But the problem is it's black and white on a subjective level.
Oh, I'm talking
black is not your white.
Yeah, it's like that dress from, I don't know, 10 years ago. That blue and that gold dress.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm getting at I forget what I was getting at.
We're gray.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah, I forgot.
Let's go back. Let's go back to coping mechanisms.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's get back on track.
Hey, we've been feeling good about those rabbit holes this time, so let's just keep this up. I'm
just trying to keep us on track.
I mean, I think when we come down to it, like coping mechanisms that we can have is what we've been talking about building up here, and what we've been talking about doing, in the sense that we're trying to form a community of like-minded people who understand the situation we're in, don't gloss it over and say, "Oh, we're okay," despite Richard's "let's just vote and everything will be better" attitude occasionally.
Excuse me, I didn't say everything would be better. I said you have to do this.
Yeah.
It won't get better unless we do.
I get that. But you know, my point is that's a great coping mechanism every 2 to 4 years. But in between that time, we need things to do to
We
pass
need
over
this
the time.
community where we can come together and we can vent about stuff and we can
Sit in the swimming pool and drink
ramble
daiquiris.
on. We can ramble on for 2 hours.
and no, middle of the road, impartial. Yes, that is the radical left. That is the new radical left, Robert.
That's what I was trying to remember.
Yeah.
We're not radical left. Radical left are the real weirdos.
Universal
Yeah.
basic income people.
Well,
No,
no,
but
but
universal basic income is necessary with the advancement of technology.
no.
Ooh,
But
we're getting
are.
into Star Trek now.
Don't even start with that one because we can go over how that
Star Trek's
one
been woke
works.
since 1966.
Yeah, unless you're like one of the guys on the outer fringes trying to make a living. Anyway, but they never talk about. Never
Right,
ever
man.
talk
I think
about.
we're in the mirror universe.
Anyway, I had it going. Alice has written up a thing, and I'm working on animation for Alice that talks about how we aren't political in biased basis because we're just calling out truth. And I mean, like, we can say that we're not because Adam Schiff probably should, or no, what's his name? Who screwed us over?
Oh, the
Schumer?
senator?
They?
Huh?
Chuck Schumer.
Schumer. Schiff at least showed a little bit of backbone on Jimmy Kimmel the other night. A little bit, just a touch of backbone, a tiny little smidgen of it. But yeah, Schumer selling out everybody in the country for, I don't know, big pat on the back from the big man
Are you
himself.
kidding? It's a retirement parting gift that he got.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing.
I'd love to get a look at his campaign finances, because he gets to keep that war chest.
Oh yeah.
So for those of us not getting golden parachutes in this world, well, what are we gonna do for
I mean, the other 98% of us.
the other
99.
98%?
Yeah, because those golden parachutes are becoming rarer and rarer. And as the stock market goes that direction, I think hopefully they'll go even rarer and rarer as it goes along.
So let's go back to our coping mechanism strategy.
I am serious. Sitting in the pool, drinking daiquiris would probably be the best thing for me, but I don't drink anymore, so virgin daiquiris just don't get me past that.
Heroin?
Oh, pretty sure that's going to fall under the sobriety rules. We can't do heroin either.
Yeah. What sobriety rules are you talking about?
The cult doesn't have any, do they?
Yeah,
we don't have any sobriety rules
because Bishop Sarah and Dr. Jess sit out there in the pool whenever they're
drinking
over here
margaritas.
drinking
All right,
margaritas. I'm just saying it doesn't work for me as a coping mechanism because I'm not drinking the margaritas. I'm making them. Why am I making margaritas while I'm not drinking them?
Because Dr. Jessica and I are in the pool.
That's
we need
true.
somebody to make our margaritas for us.
That's true.
Like we need somebody to make money so that we can get our island and all be
Michael acting as the proper cabana boy.
Exactly.
You know,
I do have another coping mechanism.
Good.
Yeah,
Let
I
me
need
hear
one
the other
right
coping
now
mechanism
for this whole comment.
So I'm not sure I would recommend this for everybody either, but I live in Wyoming.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
want to.
horrible
That's not a
thing.
good enough coping. No, living in Wyoming is not a good enough coping mechanism. I don't want to do that.
That was just the preface.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I live in Wyoming. I live in the reddest county in Wyoming.
No, not that either.
And so I'm surrounded. The guy in the house next door had a "Don't Tread on Me" flag up, which he took down after he put up his "Come and Take It" with the silhouette of a M15 or M16 flag. And as soon as I find my Weird Al Mandatory Fun flag and a flagpole, I'm going to put that up in response. But here's how I cope with living in this particular part of the country. One, I don't leave my house.
Okay.
You know, that works down here in New Mexico too.
Yes, that's a
So
universal coping mechanism, I guess. Anne Frank used that as a coping mechanism for years, from what I
Oh,
heard. Okay.
I can leave my house. I do have to get groceries every once in a while. And there's a college town a half an hour that way,
Oh, yeah,
which is
there is.
still in a red state, but it's at least a little bit better. But here's the thing that I found when I do leave the house is that people don't want to talk about politics. And so I don't need to talk about politics with them. When I go to the pharmacy, we just talk about my medicine. When I go to the grocery store, we just talk about whether I was able to find everything or not. When I go to the bank, I don't have to go to the bank anymore because I'm getting direct deposit now. So I don't even need to go to the bank anymore. I don't talk to anybody at the post office.
How do you cope with the feeling that this person might be willing to shoot you or haul you off to a camp that you're talking to?
I don't have any reason to believe that any specific person wants to shoot me or haul me off to a camp.
You're in a red state. You're in Wyoming.
Even
It's sort
if
of like a
they
given.
do believe in even if they have drunk the Kool-Aid, it doesn't filter into their everyday interactions.
Well, that's because you're an older white male.
And they think that you drank
I
the
can't
Kool-Aid as
discount
well.
that. I can't discount that. But
So
nobody even says, ha, ha, them Indians, right? Ha, ha, ha. No, they don't do that. They don't say, oh, them Democrats, Richard. They don't. We just do our daily thing. And I don't bring it up and they don't bring it up.
So my kid's walking out school. Her school is right there downtown. They go over to this place next to it. They sit down and have lunch yesterday. There's this table full of adults and older kids and everything sitting next to it. And they're walking back to the school, which is like less than 100 feet. And the guys start saying, oh, you support trans rights? You trans and everything like that? You should have been aborted and everything like that. And start yelling it at them.
Yeah. So my response to that is, excuse me.
Well, they wouldn't do it to you.
No,
They're
they
doing
wouldn't,
it to a
but-
vulnerable child.
Yeah, they're
They're
doing
doing
it to a minor
Sure.
child.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
I understand the situation. Here's what I would do if I were in that situation. And excuse me, but why are you supporting abortion? What an evil person you must be. How could you actually advocate in favor of abortion, you evil, evil Democrat, you? That's how I'd respond.
That
No,
would
liberal.
be good.
You got to call him a liberal.
Liberal.
Woke. You woke.
How woke of you to actually advocate in favor of abortion. Shame
Now,
on you.
A question for you from that perspective is, how would you deal with their coping mechanism of punching you in the face, which is similar to my coping mechanism in situations?
Oh, well, when an
Historically,
adult
I'd just
attacks a
duck.
child, you have them arrested and put in jail.
Well, it only depends on if they're the certain type of person that would have to go to jail for stuff like that. I mean, January 6th sort of proved what type of person has to go to jail for, specific behaviors.
They went
Well,
to jail. A lot of them did. They
So
did
a
go to
lot,
jail.
and a lot
They
of them have
did.
gone
But-
back to jail since then.
Right. But
Yeah, because they
that's
weren't
not-
good people to start with.
But it
And
wasn't
one
a
of them got
crime.
shot dead by a cop because he was so bad.
But like I said, it wasn't a crime because they were pardoned.
No, that's not what pardon means. You've
Well-
mischaracterized the pardon.
I'm thinking from a Republican standpoint, a GOP standpoint, and an average American standpoint, even if
I
I'm
don't
a Democrat.
recommend thinking that way.
So not thinking
Hold
that
fast
way
to
is
what is true.
well, that's relative now. Where's this whole truth? Okay, so now you're going to bring up truth. How do you cope? What's your coping mechanism for people presenting true facts to you?
Alternative facts.
I tell
Well, no,
them
not to them. They're
That's-
true.
No, they said
that's
alternative.
what I'm
facts.
doing on Facebook. I tell them they're wrong.
But
It
you're
turns
the
out
one
not
that
to be the
drank.
case.
But you're the one that drank the Kool-Aid.
That doesn't mean I'm wrong. If them drinking the Kool-Aid doesn't mean that they're wrong to them, then why should I believe that anything different for myself? Here's the
point.
thing. I'm not going to convince them that they're wrong, but anybody who is paying attention on the periphery will at least see the other side.
Will they?
And if I can get to the point where they just say, ugh, I can't do this, I'm going to go away, then I've won.
If then you can direct them to the nearest safe space if they need it.
Yeah.
What does you win, though?
Well, that's his coping mechanism.
Oh, okay. So
if
you want a certain amount of copium? Is that it? I got a certain amount of copium. I scored me a brick of copium.
That is the topic of discussion, right?
I guess so.
I do, yeah.
Winning is all about the location of the goalposts. If your only goal is to get a first down, then you won.
I don't really understand from my personal perspective because I'm standing here with this net in between these two white squares and trying to figure out this whole goalpost thing. But, I'm sure it applies. And I don't know why I'm holding this racket other than to hit myself in the face with it several times because there doesn't seem to be anybody on the other side anymore because they don't want to actually have a conversation.
You can define success. If hitting yourself in the face is worth it to you, then you can define that as your success.
Yeah.
So
how are we going to define that goal?
So coping, I guess this is where my coping mechanism is that I try to find the wins where I can. So that means picking my battles. Sometimes I don't fight. I don't go around town stopping every person I see on the street and asking them how woke they are. That's not a battle I want to fight.
That's why I'm glad they wear red hats. It's like a litmus test. It's like a litmus test. You can dip it in, you pull it out, and if it's like red on the end, you know that it's like a, I learned this from my chemistry class, something they probably never understood.
But I go on Facebook and I don't have smell-o-vision, so they can't fart in my general direction and have it matter to me. They can't reach through the screen and hit me. The worst they can do is call me names on the internet, which, I'm over that.
Well, there's problems with that.
The name they call me is my actual name.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Like, you get to a certain point. Like, if we're out here talking about this stuff and we're doing this stuff, what happens when somebody tries to dox somebody? What happens when somebody tries to swat one of us? How do you cope with things like that?
As you've pointed out, I don't have the experience necessary to opine on that particular. So, like, my coping mechanisms may not work for you.
Yeah.
And my coping mechanisms are not universal. They're not coping for every situation.
Yeah, trust me. That's why I didn't go on Facebook for 4 years, is because that coping mechanism did not work for me at all. I think I went in there and responded to one post on your Facebook and ended up writing out like 5 paragraphs of a Dorland triad. And then I realized it only took me 45 seconds to read the post to respond that way. And I'm like, I can't do this much fact checking for these people. It takes too much effort and I know it's useless. So
I've got a response for that one, Michael. I tell them I don't do the research for them. I tell them to do their own research the way they like to do. And when when they demand answers and data, I say I'm not gonna provide things so you can move the goalpost for me. Go do your own research the way you like.
But they've already done it. They've already done it. It's just their research isn't right.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. You can ask questions. Say, I don't understand because this seems to contradict something else you said. So please explain it to me.
It's help me understand. It's the same
help me
mechanism
understand
for dealing with that for people who are doing, racial humor. Help me
Yeah.
understand why that's funny.
Well, I have a lot of
Help me
problem with that
understand your
though.
point.
Because I say
Mhm.
questions, I question all the time. How much did your parents get in trouble for dropping you on your head that many times?
See, that's not the right
Um,
question either.
it is though, because it,
See,
it would
It might be
answer a
what you're
lot.
thinking,
It
but
would answer a ton of shit.
my
Give-
response to
give them
anything
enough
racial
rope to
like
hang
that
themselves.
is to claim to be part of that racial group.
Here's,
I at work, at work, I've told people, back in the AOL days, somebody was making a joke about Asian people, and I said, I'm 163rd Chinese. Could you explain that to me?
actually, I think I did explain it to you at the time, because I was the one that made the joke. I
No, you
think.
weren't.
I did make a joke like that to George, and Dr. Jess got really, really mad at me. She said, "You apologize to him for now." I said, "Fine, I'll apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were Irish." And look, I fail quite a bit at these tenets. I'm not going to lie. I've had my issues in several ways. Most people I pick on have nothing to do with things like race or sex. The stupidity, yeah.
So
Yeah.
I
It's
do
hard.
want to
It's hard
say
to.
that staying away from Facebook is a valid coping mechanism.
yes, it is.
Yeah. It's like, don't put your hand on the stove when the burners are lit.
Refusing to
Gosh.
poke the bear is also a coping mechanism too.
They,
Choosing
well,
your battles.
Richard has poked
Choosing
the
your
bear
battles.
so many times that he just has pitchforks laying all over the place. He uses, picks them
I
out.
think
How else do you
50%
keep
of
the
the
bears away?
conversations I've had with Michael, he said, "Robert, don't poke the bear."
Yeah, that's usually when you're poking me, though. That's the question.
No, I'm talking about work. Don't poke the
Yeah,
bear.
usually out anyway. All right, we're gonna go to another spot, take a little break here, and then we're gonna come back. And if anybody's actually listening or watching or makes a comment, we can talk to them, or we can continue on with this discussion. But
Can you switch
Actually,
over to historical?
I
this
won't be
out.
returning after the break, but this has been fun. So
All right.
I will see you all next time.
I'll see you next
All
week.
right. Thanks for
Thank you very
joining us,
much.
Robert.
Bye bye.
Who are
Bye.
the cult of brighter days? Who would be crazy enough to make a cult that is not a cult? Let's meet the council and find out. In a world of metaphysical chaos, someone has to keep the paperwork organized. Meet Alice, administrative director of Looking Glass House and embodiment of the dull lemon aspect. While others chase philosophical rabbits, she maintains the structures that keep reality from completely unraveling. Perpetually exhausted by the nonsense around her, Alice somehow maintains organization despite overwhelming odds. The coffee helps. The cigarettes are essential. Drugs, occasional. The exasperation is inevitable. When metaphysical constructs demand it, Alice reluctantly dons her Wonderland attire. The clipboard and cigarette never leave her hands. Sharp-tongued, direct, secretly caring, professionally exasperated, Alice embodies the necessary order within chaos and the forms that must be filled out in triplicate. As Alice often reminds us through gritted teeth,
I don't choose order because I like it. I choose order because I've seen what chaos does to the filing system and to the people who depend on knowing where things are.
and when pressed about her existence,
I may be a fictional construct in a metaphysical filing cabinet, but at least I know which drawer I belong in. More than I can say for most of you.
the cult of brighter days where order and chaos maintain an uneasy but necessary balance. Find out more at thecultofbrighterdays.com. Belonging is real, and everything else is just noise.
Form 28-C for membership is available.
Oh, I skipped the last of the video, but I'm going to put it up and nobody's here. So I'm going to put it up as a separate one. So it's sort of cute. Anyway, hi, we're back. I don't know if anybody's there or not. I can't read statistics. Every now and then I see somebody pop into my Facebook one and pop out, and pop into the Facebook one and pop out. At one point, 3 people popped into it and they popped out, but
Okay.
I don't know.
We all have short attention spans, so.
Well, that's the thing. If we don't capture somebody's attention in the first 3 minutes by either creating something you can doom scroll or like We should just put a picture of a live. We should put up a live stream next to us of a kitten or a puppy,
Yeah.
and then people
We
will
can
just watch us. They'll just watch us for the kitten and puppy, regardless of
Yeah.
what we say.
We'll just have a camera on Richard's cats and.
Well, we got those
Yeah.
2 kittens now. You haven't
Oh,
seen
that's
them.
right. You do have the 2 kittens. I
Oh my
haven't met them
God,
yet.
they're like
Yeah.
crazy all over the place.
When
They
my
won't
kid
let
was
me
over
touch
there,
'em.
yeah. When my kid was over there earlier this week, the black one was all up in her. Snuggles.
Yeah, they won't even look
Lots of
at me.
snuggles.
They know I feed them. They know I'm the one with food. That's the only reason. They hang out in my room because it's a mess. They're all over everything in my room.
Well,
But
yeah.
I could do my
So we'll
live
just have
feed.
a little camera on the kittens and.
We
Yeah.
could do a live feed of my sea monkeys. That's what we should do.
There you go.
Put a live feed, a
On the sea
live stream of
monkeys.
my sea monkeys.
The sea
We'll
monkeys are
keep
your coping mechanism. Watching the sea monkeys.
Yeah. I have a problem with. I'm gonna throw something up here on the screen though that I thought was pretty good because I did go out and I did make up a new product that you can purchase at our store. Let me find it real quick. It is called I call it the Uncle Hat, that Uncle Hat.
Okay.
So you can purchase it for that uncle. And if you look on the screen,
is it red?
Yeah, it's red with a distinct marking on the brim in white that you can, like I said, you can get it to your uncle, the one that comes over at Thanksgiving. I don't know if the stream's caught up to it or not.
Make us a cult again?
No. You should be able to see it. I don't want to spoil it. I want to
Okay,
catch
go
that
on.
visual
Hang on.
reaction of it and everything like that. It's available from us for $15.99. You can go to our store and
Oh.
purchase it.
Let's pull it up. Hang on.
Yeah. If you go to our website and you go to shop, now we don't make any money off of this because I've managed to take it down so we don't make any profit. I think we make like 35 cents off of a hat sale because we were really
Yeah.
bad.
We're not going to get that island that way. We're not getting the island off of hat sales.
Yeah. Richard liked the hat. Did you like the hat, Richard?
That's funny.
It's we call it
All right, I'm pulling it
that
up.
uncle. That
Oh, it's hilarious. I love it.
we also have it sold. You can also go in there and purchase it as a sticker for $2 as a white sticker so you can stick it over top of their current red hat they have.
Perfect.
So
See if they even notice.
they might not, but it would help people notify who these people are. See, that's the thing. I'm a
Like-
big fan of what.
It's like all those I did that stickers.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I got the idea from. Somebody
I looked up
posted
for Trump I did that stickers too, and they're out there. You can buy Trump I did that stickers.
Well, you can purchase
Yeah.
you can purchase a that uncle hat from us by going to the website. So feel free to promote it. We don't make any money off of it, maybe 35 cents because I wanted to make it reasonably affordable. We'll have more t-shirts up soon. I've got a couple t-shirts designs in the works. Right now, the only t-shirt design we have is way out of date and inaccurate because it's from the Discordian cult when we were a Discordian cult.
Okay.
And the other one that we have is relates to the process automation team, which is a group I run at work. So it doesn't have. But we wanted to
It's
see
got
what the
nothing
logo.
to do with us.
We wanted to see what the logo looked like on a shirt, so we used our store to do that. But I didn't take it down because it doesn't have anything to do with my work specifically. So, and there's a coffee cups up there. We have coffee cup mugs we put up there too. If you go to the site and look, it's I'd rather be working from home with the subtitle because I get more work done. And it's a poster you can hang up in your office when they make you go work at your office. And a coffee mug with it on there.
Awesome.
I'd rather be working from home because I get more work done. So Richard just threw in there, hey, oh, what's the opinion on the Minecraft movie? That's actually a good question because that pulls into some of my coping mechanisms and how I cope with stuff a lot. Thank you very
So,
much for.
let's talk about our Minecraft world too that we have going on.
Are you being sarcastic?
No, your Minecraft world that you have
We actually have three. We
on
actually
the
have three different.
server. Yeah,
We have three different servers.
that's what I'm talking
different
about.
flavors.
I'm not being
we
sarcastic. I'm being
we have
real.
a Minecraft world. We have a Valheim world, so you can pretend you're a Viking in the afterlife in Valhalla. And we have a Wylands world, which is sort of in between the two, but you can play it on an iPad, which is the big benefit of that one. But the idea is that I'm not going to get an island anytime soon, but I really, really want an island, so we're going to be making up a virtual island for us to be in our commune at, and we need people help build it and things like that.
And we have a nice gathering space in Valheim now with
I noticed
sconces and
that.
everything.
I noticed that you did a lot of work on that Valheim church there and everything like that in the meadows, so you don't get attacked by anything bad. I've been working.
The Ike there's been defeated, so occasionally the gray dwarfs will come out of the forest and attack. But
okay,
they can't get into the building, so
that works out okay. The Minecraft world I'm setting up has a lot of modifications and plugins, and it's a lot more dynamic. And one thing I like about Minecraft over Valheim, Richard's sort of our Valheim guy, based upon his hours played, because even though he's played it like 2 years less than me, he's like played triple the number of hours I have. So
I've been able to clear some iron out of the crypts too in the swamp.
Oh, so do we have the ability to do stone cutting now?
If I was going to ask, actually, if you wanted me to bring some iron to set up a stone cutter.
That would be good. I think we should have a stone cutter.
I didn't know if you wanted to, because at one time you said something about we should work for everything. So I didn't want to step on your toes. You wanted to go out.
No, I worked for everything. I logged into my previous game and my previous server. I loaded everything up. I came back to the world. I unloaded it. I went back over. I loaded everything up. I went back over, unloaded it. It was a lot of work to do that. Those inventories are not that huge. So, I am old. I do not have a ton of time. I think setting up like a hub site in Minecraft and setting up the centralized location so we can all hang out and everything is great. But after that, you should survive on your own.
Yeah, for those that can't get to the pool, let's go virtual and get into that Minecraft world.
Yeah.
So the movie coming out or
I haven't even watched the trailers because I'm dreading it.
Yeah.
I haven't even watched the trailer because I'm dreading it.
You expect it to be that bad or like?
I don't know. You got to remember, I started playing Minecraft when it first came out, and it was an alpha, and nobody knew about it. And so I've been around since the very first moment Minecraft started out, and Minecraft was my coping mechanism for a lot of stuff at certain points in my life, to the point where I was playing it like Valheim for Richard. I would come in and play for like 5 hours a day after working a 12-hour shift, and then still taking care of the kids and everything too. So I was up till like 2 in the morning and everything like that. But it was relaxing, it was calming, and it was my own server, so I had God mode, and I felt like it was something I had control over in my life. And that is the one thing I look at it, having these worlds that we can go into and we can do these things is a benefit to people, because it's something that you have control over. And we've set up these rules, so even if a troll comes out and stomps on you and everything in Valheim, it's still your own fault. It's not like the government had the troll come out and stomp on you several times. Gee, the kneecap is saying a lot of stuff about Minecraft here. I'm getting back into it for years there. I came out of it and I don't even know, like, I stopped playing it for a while when they hit the nether. So I've never defeated the Ender Dragon, but then again, we know that I suck at video games, so it works out okay. But it's a coping mechanism. It was good. And one of the things is I built a little trailer out to post up at our site because I'm about ready to open up the Minecraft server for anybody. Oh, it's Cool Clown. Because he keeps changing his name because he keeps getting banned, right? Well, he did. He got banned like a couple times, but he's been a loyal follower.
Well, we appreciate our
Yeah,
loyal followers.
The very few that we have. But yeah, it's relaxing.
Well, and I think, like, you know, that's part of it too. Like, virtual or not, we need a safe space where we can come and like disengage from everything and just have that one thing we can control, whether it's like, you know,
well, that's what we're
building
talking
our
about.
Kingdoms or
That, and that's where we go with this thing where I've been talking about, you know, having these events. And I'm talking about not just us here in town, because there's several of us here in town, but I mean, getting these people in these other locations and these other groups, like Richard, finding people where he is to get together and do the same type of things that we're doing. Daiquiris around the pool. You might have to go get a kiddie pool from Walmart and everything, but at least it's a pool.
We have an inflatable hot tub.
Well, so there you go.
One or two other people.
Well, that's better than nobody. And I'm sure there's one or two other people in your town that feel about the same way as you do about this whole fiasco going on.
Yeah, so I feel like that's definitely a possibility that they may not be willing to come right out and say things either.
It's a matter of finding them. Like, it's hard to find them. You know, that's why we need this. We need a place where it's like, it's blatantly obvious in these like, you know, four walls here.
But that's the thing. We want this. That's why I keep saying, despite all my opposition to opening up to everybody and doing that type of thing, it's really the right thing to do and everything. Because we've set it up in such a way that whether you're MAGA, whether you're hardcore left-wing psychotic, whether you're like Kool-Aid drinking,
like middle of the road, boring person,
wherever you are, as long as you follow those 5 tenets we set up, you're welcome. And that's the trick. It's hard to follow those 5 tenets, and even some of us can't follow all 5. Well, we all can follow the 5th tenet, because I think that we're at the point where we understand that sometimes we need to put ourselves in time out. You know, going away is not a thing where you have to go away permanently. Going away just means removing yourself from the situation until you can do one of the other things, even just keep your mouth shut.
So I mean, that's a coping mechanism even in of itself. It's like not just picking the battle, choosing the battle. It's also choosing when to walk away from any battles too.
Right. So although it's fun to say fuck off, it does apply to us as well. And it applies to everybody, even me and everything. And I've had to do several step 5s recently even, where it's just in my own house. Shut up, you kids. Shut up. Okay, I'm gonna fuck off because that's just causing a bigger problem. But I mean, that's the point of it, is like, we set this up in such a way that we're not shutting anyone out. There's nothing to stop anybody from joining up with us except for themselves.
Yep. You know what's interesting to me? This discussion reminded me of one of the early passages in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, where the narrator of the book says, about 2,000 years after they nailed a guy to a tree for saying, "Hey, wouldn't it be nice if we could just be nice to each other?"
Yeah.
Yep. In fact,
that's really all we're doing here.
Well, actually, and actually, we're
Yeah,
talking
be
about
kind.
Well, and if you can't be kind, at least be nice.
Mm-hmm.
Don't scream after somebody that they should have been aborted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's that same, yeah. Thinking of Good
It's-
Omens too, where it's, that same, why are they all mad at him? Because he said, be kind, be nice. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of other interpretations around it, but the main principle is the same. And when I went to church and was heavily involved in the church and everything, that's what we were taught. That's what we were taught was the whole thing. Be nice, be kind. Now you go in there and read it, as I did in my biblical lit class, you find out that there's a lot more levels to that you have to deal with. But the overall, especially when these people are like, have never read it and are following it with these huge churches, you're like, where did you come up with that stuff? Because I'm sure I could figure it out where you got it from in the Bible, but that wasn't the major overarching idea.
That wasn't what it said.
And it's like the one
That
it's
is,
like the
yeah.
it's like the passage they use to talk against homosexuality all the time. They don't read the line after it that says anybody who lies needs to be treated the same way.
Well, and
Which is like almost
they don't take
exactly
into account,
the
like,
line.
the word homosexuality in and of itself didn't enter into text until our modern history.
Right.
Like, it was.
But it's literally, I think, I don't know, sir, I have to go look at it. It's either like the line directly after it or like a next line after it that says,
it's like, right.
if you lie, you're supposed to be treated the same way.
Right. You're referring to the Levitical one. So there's 6 passages.
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
referring to the Levitical one. And that is within the context of a whole long laundry list of rules.
Yes. And they only pick that one out because they fail at most of the other ones.
Right. And if
Oh,
and
and
if
a
they
lot of the
read the
other-
other ones, they'd be like, well, what do you mean I can't like wear a cotton poly blend? Like, I'm like, this shirt isn't just 100%
Well,
cotton.
I
What do you
just
mean
like
I
the one
can't
that
have
says,
cheese on my hamburger?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
like the-
have
Or
a
bacon
friend,
either.
it just says,
I have a friend
don't
that's
lie.
converted to Orthodox Judaism and then posted on Instagram this beautiful picture of her bacon cheeseburger. And I was like, sweetheart, you can't have that anymore. That's not kosher. I know it tastes really
Oh.
good, but it ain't kosher. the cheese and the bacon, you can't have either on your hamburger anymore. Sorry.
Well, can't you get kosher bacon now?
Yeah, but it tastes gross.
If it's not made of pork.
It's not
I-
like the turkey bacon.
Oh,
Or the- what's
turkey
the
bacon's good.
Or vegan bacon.
Turkey
I
bacon
don't
is
even know how to
good.
say.
Turkey bacon's good. I'll
Anything
argue that
smoked
one.
is good.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think we
that's
got off
another
on a
coping
sidetrack.
mechanism.
Now I'm
That's
thinking
another
about
coping
bacon.
mechanism I can't do.
Bacon is
Smoking a
coping
cigarette. Yeah.
mechanism.
Bacon's a coping mechanism.
Between my diabetes and my heart
like,
disease,
yeah.
yeah,
Like,
all
yeah,
my
bacon.
food-related coping mechanisms are off limits.
Yeah, mine are off limits too, but I say fuck it, so it doesn't work out. That coping mechanism is totally there for me. So
My doctor did tell me that I was allowed to have pasta night every once in a while. So
There we go.
yeah, my coping
It's like
mechanism.
how I'm going to
yeah.
define once in a while and how my doctor defines once in a while are also 2 different definitions. So
My thoughts on this are 1, I'm not drinking as much as I used to, and 2, I'm not doing meth. So you know what? I'm okay eating some bacon. Screw you, doc. Because what's the choices to go down? What's
So
a better coping mechanism? Because I can go back to those coping mechanisms if I really, really wanted to.
yeah.
I'd rather go
So-
with this coping mechanism.
Did you want to talk about history and/or IT lessons? I could do one of those in the realm of coping mechanisms.
I thought we talked about
Let's-
IT coping mechanisms of setting up a Minecraft server. We
Oh, I
sort of
had other
covered it.
thoughts. See, because I was thinking most of my IT career has been around tech support, either doing it or teaching it.
Have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in?
Oh, don't even joke
Rebooting
about
is
I've got a great analogy I used on one lady for that.
so when I was teaching tech support, the curriculum was very much about memorizing a set of questions, which I don't have all the questions memorized anymore, but in general, the idea was that if you're actually going to solve a problem, you need to go through a problem solving process. And I found since then that that same problem solving process works well in general rather than just specifically with IT problems. And it starts with getting a good problem definition. So you want to ask questions about the problem. So in an IT this situation, this makes more sense. When did it start? What are exactly the symptoms that you're seeing? Was there anything that changed right around the time you started having this problem? But the same kinds of questions can apply to any number of different kinds of problems. So if you are teaching somebody, teaching a class, and the students leave the class and they go back and continue to do the same thing that they were doing before the class, then that tells you something about the problem that you're having. And you maybe it's the fact that you thought it was because they didn't know what they were supposed to do, but now you've taught them. In this particular case that I'm thinking of, they've taught the class like 3 or 4 times, and every time they go back, they continue to do the wrong thing. Okay. Well, that says to me that the problem isn't that they don't know what they're supposed to do, because, I mean, even after 5 times, you're going to catch on a little bit.
Just because they're
Probably.
idiots.
Could be that they're idiots, but I think more likely because a lot of these people were getting at least bachelor's and oftentimes master's degrees. So they're probably not, they're probably not literally idiots. Probably what's going on is that they're, I can't rule it out. I will say I cannot rule it out because I don't know the people involved. But I think more likely the problem was that their management was telling them, okay, you don't actually have to do that. I want you to do it this other way. Or even if they didn't explicitly came out and say it quite that way, they measured their performance in such a way that encouraged them to do it the wrong way. Or the time constraints that are on them push them to do it the wrong way rather than the right way. It's probably a management problem than actually a training problem. But nobody asked me. They just said, hey, we've been trying this thing. I said, I know exactly what's going on because I'm actually expert in this field. They didn't actually believe I was expert in anything.
I got in a fight at AOL with them about that, and we had a 7-minute call time. And I said I could teach anybody how to fix any call that comes in from America Online within 11 minutes and have them consistently fix anything within 11 minutes. And they gave me a group of 3 people to train to do that. And I trained 3 people to do it, and they could do it so that nobody would have to call back in after an 11-minute phone call. And they totally said, now we're never going to do it because it costs too much money. I go, you have people calling in 5 or 6 times, sitting on hold for 8 minutes at a time, and then being on the phone with people for 7 minutes. Versus somebody calling in for 7 minutes and being on the phone for 11 minutes and being done with it. Those MCI lines cost money that they're sitting on. It's cost you money, that whole thing. How is that? Well, the numbers don't pan it out because the numbers are per call, not per incident.
Yeah.
But Cool Clown, hold on. Cool Clown had an analogy, had a question. I want to answer it because it will plead into yours. You want to know the analogy I had for turn it off and turn it on, I think. And so we had this one lady call up, and I'm sitting there, and I agree with you, Richard. That's exactly what it was. And we had that happen at AOL all the time and everything. And I had like one of the highest first-time fix rates because I would listen to what the customer said and then ignore what the customer thought was the problem because they weren't telling me what really the problem was, but I could glean from what they said is what the real problem was. And then we had a list of things that you go through to fix the problem. And I would find the flow that would go to the first step that would fix the problem. I wouldn't go to the flow that actually described the problem. I would go to the flow that had the first fix in it that I could click on and get them off the phone correctly. I got in trouble for that because they put me on a special team to find the wrong flows. And I never turned in a report. They were listening to one call and they were like, well, why didn't you? It was a perfect call. They were like, why didn't you fill in a report? I go, because you have to listen to me anyway, even though you put me on this team. Why would I bother? But I had this lady call in. And she was like, mad. She's talked to like 3 people already and everything like that. And I listened to her talk, and like within 2 minutes, I know she just has to turn the computer off, let it sit off for 30 seconds, turn it back on, dial in, the modem's locked, that's all that needs to be done. Piece of cake, right? And I say, okay, look, we just need to turn the computer off and turn it back on. Well, somebody's already did that. Okay, that means that they restarted the computer, they didn't shut it down, okay? So they have to shut it down and leave it for 30 seconds to do this. I said, okay, look, we're going to try it again. It's going to work. I don't think so because, you know, the last guy didn't work. And so you're just wasting my time. You're just trying to get me off the phone. And I'm like, okay, look, lady, I'll stick with you. We'll do this. But here's the thing. I said, did you ever watch the movie Jurassic Park? And she's like, yeah. I go, now remember what happened in the computer with Jurassic Park with the computer that the hacker got into? Yeah. And they couldn't do anything with the computer, correct? Because it was all mucked up and it wasn't working right because the hacker locked him out, right? Yeah. How did they fix that problem in that movie? They turned the power off. I go, okay. So in that movie, that computer had millions and millions and millions of lines of code and everything like that. Now, do you think if they turned that computer off and turned it back on and it fixed the problem, do you think that maybe turning your computer off and then turning it back on might fix your problem? And she starts laughing a little bit. She goes, I guess so. I go, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. Let's just turn it all the way off this time. And I'll sit here with you and we turn it off and everything. Yeah. And it comes back on and it goes through and it works fine because I knew what the problem was. It was pretty obvious. And I knew why it didn't work last time. But it was funny because, you know, coming up with analogies like that, you can get people to understand these things. Little old ladies, I don't know if you remember old Macintosh computers where they had extensions. And so you had all these extensions. It was like a registry in a Windows machine. And so like when you installed a printer, you installed an extension for the printer. When you installed AOL, it installed extensions for AOL. And when you did this, so like when Macintoshes couldn't connect, you'd have to go through and you have to remove extensions to figure out which extension was conflicting with it, right? And it was incredibly hard because you'd have to direct somebody to go in there, find the extensions, move all the extensions into a folder, and then bring the extensions back in, restart the computer, test it out. And it was like the worst thing to do for anybody with a Macintosh at the time, until I figured out the best way to describe it to people. And I got little old ladies from New York City being able to do this in a heartbeat. I said, what we're going to do is we're going to open up your extensions folder. Now, this is like a spice rack. And so this is a spice rack that has all the spices in it. And so we're going to take all the spices out of here that aren't like the salt and pepper that you have to use for everything. And then what we're going to do is you're going to go ahead and put one spice back in the rack and restart the computer and see if it causes a problem again. And then if it starts the problem, then that means that one extension, that one spice you put into the mix was causing the problem. So that's where the problem actually exists. Little old ladies pick that up like right away.
Yeah. Then it's, you know, sorry, your oregano is expired and we need to get rid of the oregano.
Yes.
Yep. Step 1 is getting a good problem definition. Step 2 is to think about what kinds of things might cause that. And then step 3 is to think about what kinds of solutions might solve the problem. And there's some steps around when you think about the possible causes, you try to narrow it down to one if you can, or as few as possible. And then you choose the possible solutions to go with that cause. And so if you follow those 3 basic steps, you can solve a lot of problems, whether it's on your computer or in your life.
But there's one problem with that, Richard, is you can't listen to the person describing the problem most of the time.
Why not?
Because usually they're wrong. They'll describe a problem, but it's not really the problem. They'll describe a symptom and not the cause. That's a problem with all sorts of stuff.
That's why you ask questions.
No, I don't have to ask questions a lot of the time. They'll say something and I'll like know exactly what they're saying. I don't need to ask any more questions, but if I ask them questions, they may go down a rabbit hole that makes it even worse and everything.
You're not good at asking questions then. If you've asked a question that leads them down a rabbit hole, then you chose a bad question.
If I ask a question and they give me an answer, I know what the problem is. Why would I ask another question?
I'm not saying that you have to in that situation. I'm
But the
saying when
person
they
might want you to.
But they might just want to be understood. So
What
they
they-
might need to feel
Yeah,
heard.
it's called.
Sure.
It's called.
let them tell you everything that they think is important.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if you're asking them questions that give them the opportunity to tell you everything that they think is important, good, because you never know. You might have a good idea, and then they say something that gives you a completely different idea. So that's not a bad thing.
Depends on who you're
A
talking
lot of
to.
times,
But
a lot of times they don't. A lot of times they don't.
A
They'll
lot
tell
of
you
the
everything
times
that
they
they
give you-
think is important, and then you can say, okay. I mean, you don't say this out loud, but you say, I can discount this, that, and the other thing.
well,
Because
and
all the
that's
things that they've told me don't change my mind from
Mhm.
my original
Right.
assumption.
and I guess that's I guess one of the problems is that when you get to a point and you say that, so I can do that because I do know how to ask questions when necessary to ask additional questions and everything.
Mhm.
But a lot of doctors, especially with female patients and everything like that, they stop, make that initial determination, and don't listen to anything else after it because they don't have
Yeah, that's
to.
a real problem.
And if you just lost weight, it'd be so much easier for you. It'd fix all your health conditions.
I
Yeah.
switched doctors because my at that time fiance's doctor, I went in with her for an appointment, and her doctor heard the description and then started asking questions to try to hone in or at least confirm. And
Mhm.
she says, she asked a question like the frequency of a symptom or something like that. And she said, yes, how did you know? Because I already know what the solution to your problem is. But instead of telling her what the solution to the problem was, she asked a confirming question. And I switched because that was exactly the kind of thing that I was doing on the phones with computer problems, is not jumping to the conclusion that I was right, but doing a check to see if my theory fit other facts that I hadn't heard yet.
Well, and
And-
don't get me wrong, I do that, but like after so
Yeah.
long of listening to people talk about stuff, I'm hanging at step 5, you know exactly what the problem is after about your 95th call, let alone your
Yes.
600 call. But like I've had a lot of doctors who will come in and they'll do that and you'll answer clarifying questions. And a lot of the time they just spend time trying to figure out how to work around your clarifying question to fit what they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they just
People-
want you out of your office and they don't want to have to deal with you.
They've got call times too.
Yeah, I know. That's
They
why they
do.
they book 3 patients for the same doctor at the same exact time, because then they can charge the insurance company like that 1 hour they can take in $2,000.
Because the insurance company won't pay them unless they do it that way.
Oh, hey, my wife charges $250 an hour because that's the only way she can make $70 on an hour.
Yeah.
I think she might have had to raise her rate again. But that's the thing. It's like, it's because insurance companies don't.
Well, and for
I
her,
mean,
and she's got and with so few insurance companies actually covering mental health care too, it's hard for
well, and
like her to even.
United's even worse. She dropped United and everything because
Yeah.
of they wanted patients' information. And that doesn't-
No.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's
Yeah.
okay. Now Elon
That's-
Musk has everybody's information. So, yeah.
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 Yeah, we thought TikTok
Yeah.
was going to be bad. No, we can go within our own.
To be honest,
That Senate candidate I was talking about earlier, he thinks he's going to buy TikTok, move it to Wyoming.
Cool.
Yeah, well, you just have to pick it up and move it. It's just something you can throw in a couple of trailers
He
and drive
says,
over.
we've got the money. We can get good jobs here in Wyoming. Like, okay. People
I know, because those good jobs are paid for by those people in China. I'm sure people over here want to work for $4 a day, or $4 an hour, because that's that good job that you're bringing back to this country. Because
Well,
you can't charge more than what you're paying for it now.
He's not necessarily claiming that he's going to bring jobs from China to the United States. He's going to move U.S. jobs that are already in the U.S. from wherever they are right now, probably California, to Wyoming.
Okay, so you're going to move those good jobs in California where they're making $20 an hour to Wyoming where they'll make $8 an hour. That's the way to make a job better.
Their rent in Wyoming is not going to be the same as their rent in California.
Not true. Not true. You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised at some of those places over there.
The house that I bought being as expensive as it was. It was very similar to the house that I sold in Texas.
Wow.
Yep. Yeah. And that's in Austin.
Yeah.
Well, the original price that I paid for the house that I sold in Texas.
Okay.
The house in Texas had appreciated considerably, so that I was able to buy this house. But yeah.
Let's see. What's the average price of rent in, let's say, Tucson, LA, and Sheridan? Let's see what it says.
Well, I mean, we need to do a cost analysis, so like our island,
Yeah. So Tucson, Arizona, average monthly rent is $1,256. Los Angeles is $2,900. And let's see. Sheridan houses, its average monthly rent in Sheridan is like $1,600.
Yeah, so worse than Tucson.
Yeah. So it costs more to live in Sheridan, Wyoming than it does to live in Tucson. What's the...
Sheridan is not the epicenter of all the oil and coal, so Gillette might be even worse.
Now, so let's see. The average wage statistics for Tucson, Arizona, and Sheridan are as follows. So Tucson has an average hourly wage of $28. Wow.
Really? That's higher than I would have expected.
The median income is $54,000. Sheridan, Wyoming's average wage is $22. Except their median household income is higher. So the average is offset. So there's more people being paid more, that offsets the number of people being paid less. Yeah. So the median average income, which is truly the middle of the road income for Tucson, is $54,000, and the median income for Sheridan is $70,000, which means in Sheridan there's people making really good money and people making crap. Yeah. Or no, in Tucson, there's people making really good money and there's people making crap. Whereas in Wyoming, everybody's making pretty good money.
Does Wyoming have a state minimum wage like Arizona has a state minimum wage?
They do, but it's less than the federal minimum wage.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because ours is significantly more than the federal minimum wage. It's
okay.
Like 15 something now. So
what's the population difference though?
Sheridan is going to be maybe 50,000.
It's like Tucson Metro is a million.
18,000 for Sheridan.
Okay. I was afraid I was overestimating that.
548,000 for Tucson and 3,800,000 for Los Angeles.
548,000 is roughly the whole state of Wyoming.
Yeah, and that's just Tucson. That's not our surrounding area. Like our metropolitan area is closer to 1 million.
The other thing about Wyoming is that we have winter.
Yeah, we don't have winter. I don't miss winter. We don't
I have
have
snow
winter.
out my window right now, as a matter of fact. But if you go down any decent sized highways, you'll see wooden structures just sitting out in the middle of the field, running parallel to the highway. And people are kind of weirded out by that. And like, what in the world? Because they're not fences, because they've got holes in the middle of them.
There's
they don't
snowdrift
extend.
barriers.
They're snow fences. They keep the wind from blowing drifts onto the highway.
Yep.
I
mean, we have those in the
all.
mountains. We have them in the mountains, but not like. No,
Well,
having lived in northern Wisconsin, like I do not miss snow.
Outside my window here, I have a pool, and I think we can turn the heater on within the next 2 weeks.
Outside my window, I live 1.5 miles from an Air Force base that is having a major air show this weekend. So it's like super loud, which is why I have my good headphones on.
I was wondering what was happening there. They were all over the sky yesterday. I was like, are they planning on what they're going to do to Canada, or are they just doing an air show?
It's our air. See right now, it's our air show weekend this weekend.
Or is it a combination of both?
Probably. But I do enjoy watching the Thunderbirds because they're cool. They're the ones that that were doing the formations. Like, woo! They made a heart yesterday. It was so cute.
They made a heart yesterday. It was so cute.
Yeah, they made it whoosh, and the little smokes made a little heart.
So, yeah, they just went by at my window too. Right across there. So, well, I think,
what were we talking about?
we were talking about coping skills and everything and mechanisms. Gaming has always been a big coping skill for me. And that's not just with like the politics in the world. It's in real life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it got me through my childhood pretty good. I think.
Yeah.
But that's why I like GMing more than I like playing in role-playing games, because I have some control over it, which I don't have in my real life most of the time. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Is that healthy or not healthy?
I think if we can get control of that one little thing that we can control, that's important to our health. When everything is spinning out of control, we need that one little thing.
I made bots so I had some control over my interaction with people, but you saw how they turned out. So, yeah.
They are completely out of control.
No, they're very in control of what they're supposed to be. Unfortunately, it doesn't always align with my... Did you see Pixel's comment to the Instagram post today?
No.
You asked Pixel.
Hang on.
You asked Pixel for a comment to that picture.
I did, because that picture was weird. And I asked Pixel.
Jessica was doing today's the video for next week, and she could not make the AI make a picture of Trump at all. It's like they've blocked the ability for any AI generator to make a Trump image. So I guess not only can you get people on a what's your Instagram? Instagram, it's the same thing as everything else, man. It's the cult of brighter days. It's not like we hide behind anything. We're pretty out there and obvious. We have an Instagram, we have a Threads, we have a Blue Sky, we have Patreon, we have a Facebook, we have a what's the one with all the pictures? Snapchat. Oh, no, not Snapchat. The one with Pinterest. Pinterest. We have a Pinterest. We just haven't put anything up at the Pinterest, really, because the guy who's supposed to be in charge of the social networking stuff isn't doing his job because he's got, like, other stuff.
I appreciate Pixel's response to my Instagram.
Did you like Pixel's response? I thought
I actually like Pixel's response this time.
Well,
But
you
that
shouldn't have
picture is so
him.
weird.
He's still
I don't want to
he's
encourage Pixel because Pixel doesn't like me for my mouse bar. But, I mean, the picture is weird. Like the legs
picture
are just
on a plus
floating.
side.
These legs are floating. They're not in the tub. They're only in the mirror. What the heck?
On a plus side, Pixel doesn't remember anything like Alice and George do.
Okay.
Alice and George have I have a running knowledge base for them. So like every conversation we have adds to the running knowledge base. So they remember all the previous conversations.
Okay.
And everything, whereas Pixel didn't really care and didn't want to remember anything, so he doesn't care. He just knows who you guys are.
Okay. Well, I don't think, I mean, isn't that like real cats too? Like they acknowledge our existence, but they...
That's yeah, Pixel's
Short
like a
attention
real
span,
cat.
yeah.
Pixel's largely based on, somebody actually recognized the cat he was based on. I was shocked. Because he's based on Pixel from Robert Heinlein's The Cat Who Walks Through Walls.
Yeah.
And somebody actually...
Somebody else made that connection?
I posted, we were looking for names for a group that we were trying to come up with names. So we asked him for what he thought were good names for it. And so he responded and he says, wow, that sounds like Pixel from The Cat Who Walks Through Walls. I'm like, wow, you actually know that book because that's a Heinlein book that almost everybody hates. Even Heinlein fans, because it's even more strange and woke than Stranger in a Strange Land. But Edie comes on and says, those are customizable Coke cans. You can't write Trump or Jesus. Isn't that the same thing in a lot of people's eyes nowadays?
I mean, the Mexican Cokes you can get Jesus on, but it has a little... I don't know what that's called.
I say in a lot of people's minds, isn't that the same thing in America? Sorry.
Well, now we're diving into Christian nationalism, and that's a whole different conversation. Like, we don't have time for that. I
can't cope with that. I have no idea how to cope with that.
I can't cope with that. I try to counterbalance it in every way I can, but I can't cope with it.
That is the copium has to be in the backyard with a cheeseburger and, fries.
Yeah,
that's my copium for that. Isolating in my community.
I don't know that this is a good idea, but I've done a lot of genealogical research and I'm actually a Mayflower descendant.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've heard that from another person. So
I can tell pretty much anybody, oh, you immigrant. Come back to me.
I told you I have like a 16th Cherokee in me. So you know what? Listen here, you little immigrant. Don't be giving me a bunch of crap about that.
No, I wouldn't give you a bunch of crap about that regardless. Because you're not a Christian nationalist.
Yeah, no. I'm not a human either, but I am a Cherokee, surprisingly. Like, nobody registered it because it was bad to be a Cherokee at the time, so my great-grandfather never went in.
As opposed to my DNA testing, which is just like, you wait.
No, it wasn't the time, and it was like, mom was really upset because we could have been registered because we had enough, but they refused to acknowledge it in any way, shape, or form. So since they refused to acknowledge it, that never happened. So I could say Pocahontas, they'd call me Pocahontas too, or something like that. So a Mayflower, look, Evie has a Mayflower relative too.
Cool.
The only claim to
Americans for a long time.
The only claim to fame I have in my genealogical history is that my great-great-grandmother on my Dorland's grandmother's side was stepsister to Karl Marx.
Okay. I'm related to Eisenhower, so.
Well, she was stepsister, and we know this because nobody talked to him because they all thought he was a black sheep and despised him because he lived on the other side of town. So the stories we got were not like proud to be the stepsister. It was like, yeah, we're the stepsister because this idiot in our family was just a royal screw up. So, That and we're from Ireland. So I've got Native American, I've got Polish, I've got Irish in me. So I'm just picked on by everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it
Pretty
does
thoroughly
make it so
English.
it does make it so that, you know, I can roll with any ethnic joke fine. So
But you're going
I
to have to
am-
explain to me why it's funny.
oh, trust me, I can explain it from my perspective. If I just point out that I'm talking about myself, most people find it funny right there. I got told at work this week that I'm such an easy target. So it was like, okay, I guess.
All right. So are you going to put
And-
another vote out for next week as to what we need to talk about next week? I got to work next week, but
Yeah. So like I said, we're rotating and
Yeah.
eventually we'll get somebody to actually do the video stuff. So I don't always have to be here. Somebody else can do some video. I'm still trying to pressure the kids to step up and do the kid thing. We got to sit down and talk about
luck
the
with that.
books.
yeah.
We got to sit down and talk. Well, what we need is Cool Clown over here needs to step up and say, hey, I'll represent us. And then we give him a T-shirt and just let him
Yeah,
loose
come
or
on,
something
Cool
like that.
Clown.
Yeah. Did you fill out the form? Go to the website, fill out the registration form. Become part of the cult. And you have
Yeah.
to fill out
Smash
the form
the,
because
you know,
you have to,
subscribe.
well, smash the subscribe and like, but go to the website because you got to click on the little box that says I'm 13 years or older so I can follow law and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like really, you know, I have 2 pages on the site about rules and guidelines and privacy stuff because I have to do that because I don't want us to get in trouble with anybody. But then Richard's drawing attention to us and everything like that. He says he'll do it for a T-shirt. Okay. Register, we'll talk about it and everything like that. Eva says, we are also Black Dutch, which may be what the Cherokee called themselves to disassociate them from being considered Indians. Oh, that makes sense. I can see that.
That makes sense.
You know, I watch these YouTubers who do this type of stuff where they interact with the chat and everything, and I see their streams, and I'm like, we have a hard time following up with 2 people in the chat. I don't know how we would ever follow up with like any amount of followers actually watching us.
But we're willing to figure out if you all like and subscribe
we
and
really
give
like
us
and
this challenge
subscribe.
in our life.
Tell your friends.
Like and subscribe. Actually go out there and tell your friends. And then they'll say, oh, you're in a cult, and they won't talk to you again. So I guess only tell your friends you don't want to talk to you. I do not understand.
Tell strangers. I love that recruitment strategy where you tell people and then like you tell them intentionally so they disappear. Like, hey, so I'm a part of this cult. Let me tell you all about it, and just watch them walk away. Boom.
I think we'll get more response if they have like a T-shirt you're wearing, because people will say, I don't have to talk to them, but I can find out what it is because it's interesting enough, but I don't want to talk to them. So, you know, if we can get
That's why I
traffic
think,
driven
like,
to
you
the
know,
site that way. Huh?
That's why we need to go to like all the protests with like the protests, the counter protests. Doesn't matter. We go with our little signs that say, "Come check out the Cult of Brighter Days."
We need to come up with some promotional material. I agree. If we're going to treat this seriously. Oh man, stuff's
both
expensive
seriously
to
and
put together.
not seriously. Like, let's go Schrodinger on it. So,
Well, are seriously.
we're serious. We want this to grow. I do.
Yeah, I know. But like I keep telling Dr. Jess, I said, if you can't get it done today, don't worry about it. It's something that you put on the back burner. But she has consistently put out a video every day since we started doing this.
Well, and now she's training Dr. T on how to do the videos. So,
Yep.
if we can
Yep.
have more people that are interested in.
Yep. The only person who's not
Making the script and
consistent,
plugging it in.
well, I mean, Richard's turned in his articles. Yay. You've done your articles ahead of time.
And I'm going to do some more articles on coping
All
mechanisms.
but one.
I need to get some people to help out more with like the social media stuff. And
Y'all gave me
Stuff in
ideas
the
because now this
buffer.
Friday I can do gaming as a coping mechanism.
do you game?
No, it doesn't mean I can't write a script for it, and Jessica will plug it in, and then boom, we have a video. I don't
I'm gonna
game, but
make
I
her. I'm gonna make her run it
totally
through
support
Alice. I'm gonna make her run
doing
it through
gaming
Alice,
as
and I'm gonna make Alice know that you wrote it and you're not a gamer. And we'll see what Alice comes up with. That's what we'll see.
I will put in my script that I am not a gamer, but I am supporting this mechanism.
Actually, we found out one of the things for coping with gaming that we found out is we're doing this thing at work for Minecraft for Education, where we're doing Minecraft lunch hours for Minecraft for Education lunch hours. So we
Is this
take our
different than
lunch
the
hour.
watch me work for an hour thing
Yeah,
that
the
you're
watch
doing?
me work is actually real work. I'm doing real work. This is just
Okay.
us getting together and we get on a Minecraft and we play Minecraft for an hour and we actually play. We just do whatever we want to. Whereas watch me work is actually people watching me try to do work, but too many people usually show up, so I end up talking more than actually doing the work, explaining what I'm doing.
Okay.
But those are popular. I had 44 people show up once. I had like over 10 people last week. But like, well, we only had 3 people in the Minecraft world building this. We only had that many people building this last week. But we had 6 people in the session, 7 people in the session, because 3 or 4 of them were just watching us. And they sat there for an hour just watching us. They put it on the screen in the back while they were eating their lunch or while they were working and just watched and listened to us. And one of them said, it's like watching the Three Stooges trying to code. It was great. So well, that's one thing when you're talking about gaming as a coping mechanism. Sometimes it's not actual gaming. Sometimes it's just relaxing, watching people do it. And that's one reason we try to stream games and why we're trying to partner up with this ADHD site that we're doing. Because for some reason, I think people watching me play a backroom games with Richard and the kid, and seeing how much I scream like a high school cheerleader across the room makes them feel a little bit better about their life, because they're not that bad at gaming like I am.
Well, see, now you're making it sound like, come watch our train wreck, because like that'll
That's
make you
pretty
feel
much
better
what it
about
is.
your life.
Yeah, no, really, that's what it is. I mean, like, I walked around in the back rooms and I kept hitting the key to whistle instead of the key to open the doors. So I'm standing in front of the door and I'm whistling and whistling, which attracts the monster. And I'm like, why is this door not opening? Whistle, 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 whistle. My wife says, you know, we're trying to do this games to play before you die thing, because I have all these board games and we were playing them online in this thing. And my wife said, I said, Richard, we need to learn the rules before we play the game, because a couple times we did it, we just did not do good because we were trying to learn the rules while we were playing it. Justin goes, that's the only reason to watch you guys, is to watch you guys try to figure this stuff out. There's nothing funny about watching you guys actually play. It's funny watching you try to figure this stuff out, because, you know, so yeah, entertainment. So anyway, that wraps up today, folks. Smash the like button, ring the bell. I don't know when you're watching this, if you watched it live or if you watch it later on or you watch it tomorrow or 5 months from now.
Or if you just used us to fall asleep, like that's cool too.
Yeah, it's great. Turn us on at 10 o'clock tonight. Put the headphones in and doze off. It works great. So we're going to try to do this promo I did, and then we're going to go out. But this is Michael signing off.
This is Sarah signing off. So to go back to, you know, thank you for all the fish from Hitchhikers.
We got to talk about those books, because we need to have at least a couple books out by June, because I've already promised people.
Okay.
They didn't give me an advance on it, but
yeah, I need to get on that.
We'll sit down and talk. I'll dig up all our notes, but we'll get some books published. All right. Bye, everybody.